Okay, you went live? Okay. We always have to ask the question. Hello, everyone. Lori here. Welcome to my How Do You Spirit podcast. And I have, of course, Taco with us again. And we have a new, very special guest. I'm so excited. This is Barb. Say hi, Barb. And today what we're going to talk about is what it's like to be a psychic medium. And I think that is a fabulous topic because, yes. The first thing I wanted to start off with is I did a couple readings. I went camping, as you know, Taco, over the weekend, and some friends came up and I did a couple readings, and the first one was great. It was fabulous and really, resonated with the person, with the gal. And then I did a second reading for her daughter. And as we were finishing up, my guides will start to pull back, when they're like, we're done. And so they started pulling back. And then all of a sudden I get my picture's in my head, and I see 2 feet. And then I get the message to be cautious, because if you're not cautious, there's an accident that's going to happen. Okay. Guess who cracked my foot right here Tuesday. I'm so curious because after I was thinking, was that message for me?
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
I just got the chills, and I'm like, why can't my guides do that to me with me all the time? Be so very clear and here's your warning, girl. Be careful, because that's what happens.
They actually are. They're actually very clear. The thing that I've noticed, with my guides, when they need me to pay attention, they're not when I go reading, they're like, oh, I love you, and oh, you're doing so great.
Yes.
You keep going, right? No, not with mine. Mine will shove it right up my butt.
Well.
And make me listen, and they only say it once, and once only, and it's you better pay attention. But
okay, so that's that. I wish I would have. I guess how did I? Because I thought it was for the gal I was talking to, and so I'm like, excuse me, could you at least said, hey, you or something?
I think they do. I think we get so, I know for me, I'm so used to feeling them.
Yes, because you're so experienced.
Time,
yes.
That a couple of things. One, if you need to go through something to learn from, pay attention to, or things like that, they're not going to really give you a warning on that, because then it's kind of like cheating in life, right? Then you
true.
learn the whole thing,
right? I agree.
Well, that's what I say. I don't know why they have a problem with that. I know exactly. You don't get that full lesson of it. You've got to remember, at the end of the day, that's why we're here. We're here to grow,
learn.
And learn.
Yeah.
And it's because we gotta really learn the game in order to appreciate the game,
Yeah.
And so they my guides are, if they have an important message that they really need me to pay attention to, normally they'll come in a dream. But I've noticed when they're just reminding me to be cautious. So for instance, when I was in my car accident.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes.
The first one didn't give me good enough. I weeks before was almost kind of scared to drive. I was always being really cautious. I was paying attention. And I swear to you, it's the minute you let your guard down, you're like, oh shit, all right.
Right?
Nah, that's when you get it. So
yeah, apparently.
Yeah, you do pay attention. You learn to pay attention. You learn to kind of watch the signs. And the other thing that we do is, the universe gives us a lot of signs too. So, I've noticed if there's a situation my life's about ready to go through, a lot of times I will come into contact with people that are kind of going through that.
Okay,
and so you start paying attention.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I just thought it was so, interesting that I was reading somebody else and I had no clue that that was for me. So anyway,
technical difficulties.
right.
Technicalities.
Right. And after it happened and I realized it, I asked, and they're like, yeah, duh,
Well, yeah, I think they give us a little more credit than what we probably deserve.
Yeah.
They're like, they can't be that dumb. Yep, they are.
Right. Yes. So Barb, what has your experience been so tell me first, are you psychic what's kind of your specialty?
I tell people I'm not a medium.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to go into that world to find people.
Oh,
But
okay.
in the course of a reading, if someone comes through,
Uh-huh.
I can feel them. I can feel all their feelings, their intentions, and I can get pictures of things.
So she resides a little bit more where I think a lot of people kind of start, where it's more that energy reading.
I feel like I resonate a lot with that. Yeah.
And a lot of people that do readings and get into that do start out that way.
Okay.
I
Okay.
feel it first.
I don't have to go through a lot of what you guys all went through. I didn't go to school and have people tell me I can't.
The outside
be
world.
The weird, creepy kid. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And you guys did. So I think that's partly why my gift comes so natural to me, and it's not
that makes sense.
Like, I literally had to learn to not be so creepy.
Right.
That was only because my mom was like, "Gosh,
right."
But I had to learn to not do that. When you guys learned from an early age that that's not normal.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
But I think what would be kind of neat is to kind of tell your journey, you guys' journey. Like, when did you first notice there was, like, really pay attention if there was something different? And then I think we ought to answer, what was the most profound maybe moment that kind of really catapulted you into coming out of the psychic club?
Go ahead, Barb. I want to hear your story.
Well, mine started late in life. I was in my early 40s.
Yep.
And I had an out-of-body experience. I was very sick. Well, I think it first started, I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. I got very sick, and I dehydrated, and I left my body to go find someone to help me.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't remember, I thought I remembered everything about that experience. But the only thing I came back with the recall is that I was connected to my kids, and I could tell that this thing was connecting us, this light cord. And I just let him know I'd be okay.
Okay.
And then my friend came over and took me up to the hospital because I had dehydrated, passed out. I don't really remember anything too much about it other than that. But during the following months and years, I would get memories of what happened.
Interesting.
While I was on
Wow.
my body. And so it ruined my world.
Right.
There's nothing that shocks you into saying you've been fake. See the real you.
Oh my gosh.
Side,
right.
But and then to me it was just a real depressing time, and I was suicidal and miserable and going through a divorce because of all of this. And then that's when I ran into Taco.
Yes.
You're
right. We both, it sounds like, owe a lot to that one over there.
She's the one that
called you on your shit.
Called me on my shit.
Yeah.
And I remember walking away. I tell everyone this story. I walked away from her, and excuse the language.
No, go right ahead.
That fucking bitch.
Oh yeah, she hated
her.
Really?
And she goes, "Hey, we're gonna be best friends, and we're gonna work together." Yeah. And I just turned around and I go, "Whoa."
Yeah, right.
I grow on people.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I reached out to her again, and
We've been great friends
Yeah,
Ever
she
since.
helped me through all of this and
Uh-huh.
tried to make sense of it. Helped me learn to regulate it, how
Uh-huh.
to control some of the images and some of the thoughts, and I think it was at that time when I first realized that this was a psychic ability
Mm-hmm.
and not something wrong with my brain.
Right, because we think we're crazy.
Yeah, because I did. I really thought
Yeah.
I was going nuts.
Yeah.
But
You know,
she
I
just
think there's a
helped me
lot of people that
organize
kind
it.
of go through that too,
Yeah.
you know, and it's so sad to me that, you know, we're all born with this God-given gift. We really are.
Right.
All of us are. And if you, it's so sad that it makes you abnormal to listen to
Your
Higher self.
your
Exactly.
higher self, your natural instincts,
Your
gut
guts,
intuition.
yes.
Like, it breaks my heart that it's that bad that
Mhm.
you're not appreciated and comfortable with really showing who you really are. I
Exactly.
don't get that, but I kind of do, because I think what I do love about the younger generation and what's happening is how much they are starting to normalize
They're
not being
aware.
normal.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? And I mean, there's a lot of things I don't think are okay, but
Right.
there's a lot of that awakening, and
Mhm.
that, you know, it's almost kind of makes them the cool kid to be not normal. And I
Yeah.
love that, because it gives me so much hope for the higher good of this planet and this realm and what we're doing. And I'm excited about how this is gonna like unfold and go
Same.
forward.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. But when I grew up, there was no language.
Oh,
about
Oh
this.
no.
No.
I
No.
didn't even know the word psychic. I
Right.
had never. That wasn't.
What
in
what
my
is
home.
that?
I
Mhm.
didn't know.
Well, and if
anything
you're
about
in
it.
any type of
The
religion,
It's a
Oh,
it
yeah.
you know, it kind of always baffled me. I mean, especially because Mormonism is like the prominent one here.
Yep.
And it baffles me how much they actually have wrote a lot of their gospel off of a psychic. I mean, like, it's what he did, right? So it was like, well, he got boy parts, so you got to listen to him. The girls can't do that, even
Right.
though literally throughout history, it's been women. It
Yeah.
has.
That's
And I think that's because it is a little bit more acceptable and normal
Mhm.
for women to go off that mother intuition
right.
than it is, you know, if to label you as a psychic.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that word, but
Yeah.
It
it's-
has a negative draw to
well,
it. Right?
It does.
and it just seems like there's just so many people that have went under that pretense that
Yeah.
was full of shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you have to be careful about who you're allowing to kind of look into your life and
Mhm.
and gain some guidance by it. But that's not just with psychics. Like, that's with everybody.
Yeah.
And
Any kind of expert.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of people kind of label it to that, you know?
Yeah.
When church leaders, everything, you should always like kind of feel into, is this someone that I really should be entrusting my life with and
Mhm.
entrusting giving me some guidance. But at the end of the day,
Yes.
no matter who says what,
Yep.
your intuition,
Yes.
your gut feeling is always going to be the truest point.
Yes.
Always.
I agree. Yeah.
And so many times in readings, someone will ask questions. Guides will say, "You know that already."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's
It's true. And well, because I do get readings from Taco still, you know, but it's more of a confirmation or validation, I guess.
Yes.
Because we all have our thoughts and our own intuition, and then it's like, I just need somebody to like.
Well, and also when you're in a situation,
Mhm.
you're blindfolded.
That's true.
You
That's
are.
true.
So you're never going to see or I should say, really accept your own
Uh-huh.
read on it.
Right.
And more so than like someone from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Will see it way clearer than you will, because you're connected, you're involved. Like anytime I have issues like with my my kid or, you know, my family that I, or my closest friends, I have to ask other, like I've asked you.
Yeah.
We
Which
do
was
that
horrifying,
but
but
like, you know, because I do have to do that check because I am aware that my own want, wish, and desire for them will override what
the message is. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
closer you know them, the harder it is to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I
Absolutely.
do readings for my really close, you know, friends or family, which I love my daughter because she's always testing me, and she's like, "Dang it," you know.
Yeah.
You know? But she's always been really, really psychic herself. She just doesn't like to own it. She's actually been having experiences where she's called me up, "I didn't want to do what you did," but she's like having a meltdown.
Yeah.
But she's always dead on. But when, you know, I do a reading for them, I always have to kind of, you learn.
Pull yourself
it takes
back.
A while, but
Yeah.
you learn how to literally, like, I pull myself completely out of it.
Yourself.
Like, I go play with the flowers and the tulips, and I'll let whatever happened, and
Yeah.
and join the party at the end. But I don't, it is hard to learn how to, like, pull your wants, wishes, and desires for them out of the way so that you are seeing it really clearly. And it's not really, I don't think it's that you don't see it clearly. I think it's just that you want different.
Yeah, your feelings get in the way. Because you genuinely care for people and love them.
About them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why when I do readings, I tell you what I get first. I don't like people to give me any information. I don't
True,
need a name,
true,
I don't
same.
need a picture.
Yeah.
And anytime I help people, like, own their gift a little bit more and kind of redefine it a little bit, I always tell them, like, you want to start cold. You don't want to go off of one. If you start someone by them telling you what is going on,
Right.
you're going to be, they're never going to trust what you get.
Exactly.
They're going to always have that question of,
well, I mentioned this.
were they reading off of that? Were they doing this? And I mean, because we do have reasons to go, I hope we didn't see that right.
Or
the
you
opposite.
focus on that particular situation, and you won't see something else that the guides are trying to show you.
Yes.
Exactly. So I try really hard to tell them what I get first from their guides, and then I'll go into their questions. But what was Lori, your first real reading that you did that was like, wow?
So it was soon after I got divorced, and I remember.
That happens every time. No.
Right. Wake up. That's funny because you just said when I got through the divorce, and I think we just become more clear sometimes, right? When you get out of a not so great situation.
To be yourself.
Yes.
It's just you.
Yes.
So
100%. So I still remember the memories. I was sitting on my couch, and Taco had texted me and said, "Hey, I'm doing my class tomorrow. I'd really love it if you would come." And I'm like, because she's always told me that I've had the gift, and I never believed her. And
Welcome to the club.
Yep. And I'm like, okay. And I was scared to death, but I went. It was the 2-day Saturday and Sunday thing. And I went, and we were all sitting around the table, all the students, and you were talking about it and, telling some different things. And then she's like, okay, we're going to split up and do readings. And I'm like, what? And so I got paired up with a friend, and I actually got some messages, and I was like, what in the world just happened right here? I was so shocked and in disbelief still, even though it happened. And so that was my moment that I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this really is a thing for me. And ever since then, I've just kind of been building on it. And like you said, being more open and being lighter, and have, being in a better situation, being able to be with myself. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And
don't you think it's like freeing
Oh,
be able
yes.
to, I mean, like,
Yes.
I know when I was, in my teenage years before I really, embraced what my gift was, I know that I always got a lot of anxiety and stuff because I was trying to fit in versus just being my authentic self.
Yes.
And, that was really hard. I mean, I was only like, I think that was like when I was like 11 and 12 because I started doing readings for when I was 14.
Uh-huh.
But I remember feeling so almost heavy.
Yeah.
Because I was told that people don't do that and that
Yeah.
I was different and it made me more almost like I'm like fake, like not who I was, and it made me definitely more shy and more like reserved and pulled back. I mean, like I remember feeling almost like I was choking because I wasn't being able to be myself, and that could be just because that's how I always was up until that short amount of time.
Right.
So, but don't you feel like it took a million pounds off
Yes.
your shoulder to more own who you are versus keep faking?
Oh, yeah. So you feel free.
Yeah.
And even since we've started doing this, because you don't really talk about it with people because like, what are they going to think about you? You're weird or, oh, she's creepy.
But if you think about it, you probably had those gifts your whole life.
Absolutely.
Because when I think back, one of the criticisms that I was always getting from my parents was that I was a liar.
Oh.
Because I was always talking about and saying things I had no idea of.
Oh,
But they were
interesting.
usually right.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
it's just I kind of knew things, or I would tell stories.
Just calling them out.
But they would always, the thing was, I was a big liar. That I had all these stories, or I was just always telling all these stories.
Uh-huh.
But I just knew things, and I never put that together until way later, halfway into this.
Yep.
And I'm like, I wonder if that's what that,
yes.
was that what that was? That I kind of knew things that were going on, and people would get mad at me, like, who told you, nobody, But it's like, that is the only thing I can think of that would probably say, okay, maybe I've been this way my whole life, but I could always tell how someone felt about me. Like there was a little girl at school that was best friends with my best friend. I knew she hated me. But it's like everybody says, "Oh, that's silly. Hillary loved you."
Yes.
But I could just feel it.
Yeah.
And I was nervous. I was scared around her.
Yep.
But so
That energy.
like that come up.
Oh yeah.
From your past,
Absolutely.
and you think about it, and you say, "No wonder I was so weird."
Yeah. Well, I remember we talked about this in our ghost story episode where I'd see black figures in my room and it scare me to death when I was in, early teens. And so, yeah, back then, even I think, you start connecting the dots.
Yes, but much later, yeah.
Yeah. It just took a while.
So what was the scariest part? What do you feel was the hardest to when you first started doing readings? Where do you feel like was the most challenging part?
Just the confidence that I was going to tell somebody something, what if and it's not a matter really of being right or wrong, right? Because we get the messages.
Absolutely.
But it's just trusting
What you're getting.
Yep, trusting spirit that, because I get weird stuff, especially earlier on. I would get weird things for validation. So spirit validating that I'm, yes, these messages are coming from. I remember doing a reading years ago one time, and they kept showing me bananas.
Yep.
And when you get these images and you think, a banana, really? That's all you have for me? And they just kept going, bananas. And I kept telling my friend, I'm like, they just keep showing me there's something about a banana, and she wasn't connecting it at first. And my guides will just keep at me until we figure it out. Yeah, you have to get the answer. And finally she said, oh my gosh, my mom always used to feed me bananas when I was little, and I hate bananas. I'm like, oh my gosh, it took so long to figure that out. But anyway, so yeah, you just, the trust part, and you know, being able to, yes, these are messages from spirit, and even if it is a banana, I've had pizza come up, weird food items, that it is, I have to, learning how to trust.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Barb? What was the craziest thing you got?
Well, I don't know if it's crazy. It's one of the first. I went over to a friend's house to give her a reading, and I was very comfortable with her. I didn't know her really well, but I was comfortable, you know. And she asked if her mom could come and do a reading. And when her mom came in, I just saw a circle of elephants.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Elephants. And I think it's so interesting because that's what
I have elephants everywhere in here.
and we sat down, and I was struggling, really uncomfortable, and I was worried about what these elephants were. And finally I said, I just got to clear the room of the elephants. And she started crying. And
Oh.
she's like, you're my spirit animal. I love elephants.
Oh, I'm getting
And
the
she
chills
just
again.
had this story about her grandfather and elephants and all these things that related. And here I was trying to get rid of them out of my head. Because I'm like, oh, something's wrong.
Right.
But, you know, I hadn't really started reading her yet.
Yes.
No idea what it was about.
Yeah.
But that was one of the first things that said, just relax and let it, just listen.
Let it flow, right?
You know, I think where sometimes people struggle when they, especially when they first start out trusting what they're getting is, and when you're actually reading to someone, you know, I think, you know, we automatically think that what we're getting, we should kind of know what that means, right?
Yes.
And so it's when you try to make sense of what you're getting, you're going to go completely south.
Yes.
When you, like one time, probably one of the weirdest readings I had, but I kept seeing worms. Like when I was going through their career, I kept seeing worms, and I'm like, what the
right?
Why would anybody see this? Like, what is this?
Yes.
And finally I said, girl, I don't even know what the heck, but like all I see is worms. And she starts laughing, and her and her husband had just started a worm farm.
Oh
gosh. But you know, you learn to trust those crazy things because it's going to mean something to that person, that you're doing a reading for, whether it's something that, you know, like my case, it was specific to her career. But like elephants, a lot of times when you do mediumship, which is where you, you connect just with the person's loved ones that are passed on, they will show you things like that. They'll show you like a shoe or a locket or, you know, a favorite flower or color. And you have to just kind of go with that because that will mean something to that person you're doing the reading for. It might not mean shit to you. Yeah. But it is going to, that kind of weird fact, no one pulls that out of their butt. You know
right.
Yeah, like one time I kept seeing lilies, these little lilies. And I'm like, do lilies mean anything to you after? And I just make sure they show it to me at least 10 times. And she goes, oh, that was my grandmother's name. Is she here?
Oh,
see?
Yep.
I
tell you, those goosebumps, those are a big time indicator.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right there, that you're locked in, you're going forward with it. So, when you first started doing readings, tell me your process of how you do your readings, and then we'll go through. Okay, so I start like you do. I just see what spirit gives to me, and before I do a reading, I tune into the person, and they show me stuff before the person even gets here. And then when I sit down with the person, then I say, okay, are we still, you know, and it's the same thing. I get the same thing. Yeah. So that's what I do. And then I just pass along the messages I get and invite them to ask questions as we go along. But I'm like Barb, I don't want to hear a story
first. I just want, let's see what Spirit has to say, and we'll go from there. So that's what I do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And how about you, Barb?
Yeah. First thing I always do is I set the space.
Yeah.
Like I have to put my protection up, and then I have to invite the guides into the bubble. You know, because I am scared to death of ghosts.
No, you're
That's hilarious.
Thought of ghosts.
Yeah.
I get that.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I heard ghosts one time, and I called her, and I was like, anyway, and so for me, it's about they know I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my first thing, that I lift the vibration. And, okay, I'm ready. Come on in, you know, because I have to feel safe.
Yeah.
It's just my number one thing. And then the first thing that usually comes in is I get some kind of image or some kind of impression of their guides, but mostly it's energy. When I first started, I would see the most ridiculous visuals, and I would think, are their guides really the Temptations? Or, you know, is it really like someone captaining a boat? But then I realized it's more about what that image represents that they're trying to show me.
Okay.
But it took me a while to figure that out.
Right.
Because I really did think that this one guy had the rock group as. But after a while. Anyway, and so once the guides come in and I get the feel for them, the next thing I always see is a time.
Okay.
And I can see how the person's reacting to their time.
Uh-huh.
Are they standing on it? Are they away from it? Is there more than one timeline? There are lots of little loopy timelines that have fallen off that, you know, I can see they've started something, let it go. That makes sense.
Yes.
And so, and then they'll give me kind of a feel of where that person's at or what they're doing. Why aren't they? A lot of times it's because they're facing backward. They're not looking at what's something like that.
Interesting.
So that's the first image that I get about the reading, is where they're at on their time.
Wow, that's
And
super
then,
cool.
And then I'll tell them everything that's lined up like that.
And
then they'll just start asking questions about that.
Yeah.
So the guides just answer the questions. And like she said, when you put yourself aside, I do so much better.
Oh, yeah.
If I just disconnect from it, and I'll just kind of there and not looking at them. I'm not talking to them. I'm just like.
I don't look at people either.
I can't.
I stare off.
I stare at the positive energy that comes in, and then everything shows up back here. So.
See, mine's up here.
You know, I say this all the time to people. Your guides really will work with you the best way they know you'll listen. So if that's showing you something that you're going to relate to, and that gets the message, so they're going to do that all day long.
Yes.
They'll work with you how you feel most comfortable. They'll work with you the way that you're going to listen the most. And so if that's just through feel, you'll get it through feel. If that's through smell, have that. And that's not fun, but it will get the job done.
Right.
Or visions or audio.
Sometimes I taste.
Yep, taste.
Taste.
Really? I haven't experienced that yet.
Have a lot of metals in their body.
Yep.
I can taste it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can taste
The
metal. Metallic.
Really?
It's like you're stuck in a penny.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
and the more you go on, what you'll find out is the more they'll utilize all those senses.
All the senses.
Yeah.
So even though you might start out, which is like feeling the energy and reading the energy, as you go along, they're going to work with all of those senses. So they're going to bring that in even stronger to where it's like, it almost gets to where it's just secondhand nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
can
true.
see that.
And humor.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
they're
gosh,
funny, aren't
they're
they?
Yeah.
So funny.
I get laughed at a lot.
But, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they use words. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm quoting them. You know.
Well, that's because laughter and sex are the two ways to connect with the higher vibration the fastest. So when you are like, if like I taught her, you're having someone that's really blocking, like they don't want you to read them,
Should just
start laughing.
Start
laughing. You will lighten that energy right up, and you'll go right into it. Or if you're scared, and you're like really afraid of kind of doing that reading, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the minute you start laughing, it like changes that whole vibe.
I noticed that
so
over the weekend.
So they use humor a lot on the other side because they are on that higher, clear frequency.
Okay.
And they do laugh at us a lot because they're like, "Oh
Yes.
man, been there, done that. You're in for some weird shit."
One time I heard, "Oh, silly humans."
Yeah.
Oh no.
Me?
What'd you call me?
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome.
It is fun. Yeah, they have a good sense of humor. They use that a lot. I hear music every once in a while. See a lot of color.
I do too.
Yeah.
Color, and I get words too.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat.
They show me words a lot. Pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of pictures. But I get a movie, I don't know, and I hear them talking, but I get the movie, like the situation that they were in. You know, things
Well,
like
and
that.
they'll do reference points too. Like if there's a particular thing they're trying to get through and you're not quite getting it, they will use like a situation in your life.
Yes.
Like they'll show you that
okay.
situation and it will play out like a movie.
Okay.
And it's gonna feel like you're damn near right there again. And then you get it. Then you're like, oh, I know what you're going through. That ain't no fun, man. You need to get the hell out of that. You know,
So when you say hear, both of you, do you hear it with your ears? I hear stuff in my head.
She does. I hear it in my head.
Okay, yeah, because that's
if I heard it outside of my head, I may feel differently about it now, but at the beginning, I would hear these little crackly kind of. It would distract me and throw me off, and I'm safer.
Yeah.
Have you noticed since you've been doing readings where you get the high pitch?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
that
yes.
is
Yes.
part of them opening up that audio.
I had that
for you.
last week. Really, it was a good one in this one, this year.
And I get these little things in my eyeballs where I look at something and it's got a glow around it. Or
I get those too. You can't,
because
yes,
it's
like a
got
little
something.
squiggly,
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
oh
Or
my
those
gosh,
little
I had,
flicks of light.
Yeah.
oh, I had no idea that's what that was.
I don't know what it is, but I know
It's
happens.
got to be something because I get that too. So,
Sometimes I'll be looking at someone and I'm feeling like I'm going cross-eyed,
uh-huh.
and they're going out of focus.
Yeah, you can't look at them and see them,
Yeah.
right? You
And
can
so
see
I'm
everything
so much
around.
more comfortable staying focused on that pocket of energy that comes in,
Yes.
where the guides are. You know, I can just feel that pocket of energy, and if I tune into that, I feel like I just turned on the switch.
Right. That's so
yeah.
interesting. I learned something today. That's so
I
amazing.
think everyone is different.
Yeah.
Usually people will say something like, that was a really different experience.
Uh-huh.
I've been to a lot of psychics.
Yeah, wow.
So
Okay, so everyone, we are going to oh, are you okay to keep going, Barb,
Yeah,
a little bit? Okay. Taco has to run. She has to go help a friend out real quick. So, and 8:00 was her cutoff time. So anyway,
I was late.
and that's okay. Do you have, so I'm so curious now, the whole, when you tune in and you see you say you focus on that energy, is it like a light energy that you see, or is
it's
it
like that, you know, where you see the air move and you see the little sparkles.
interesting?
When I put up the protection and then invite the guides in, I can, when they pop through and
Wow.
come into my little bubble.
Okay.
And then I just focus on it. And first I feel the love usually that
Right.
comes through with it. and then I bring in my guides, I bring in their guides, and I stay really focused on that.
Okay.
Sometimes it floats around.
Yeah.
Whatever,
You doing this?
But that's where I get the information, is when I'm hooked into that.
Okay.
So
That's so
and
interesting.
I don't know, honestly, I don't know if I have to do that.
But
I
that's
just
your
do.
thing though,
I
right?
just
That's
do.
what works for
That's
you.
what's worked.
And I find it so interesting how everybody's so different and how we
I love
connect.
that, though.
I know the
Yeah.
stories, it's amazing. I love it. That's
Yeah,
so
how
cool.
do you feel your guides come in, or their guides come in?
I get the messages through my guides.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if I have loved ones come in, then I will see
Oh.
people that way.
Yeah.
But my guides are the ones that communicate to
you.
me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, and my guides started out that way at first. I
Yeah.
think I got everything from my guides.
Yes.
Because I wasn't quite aware that it was someone else's guides coming through until I started seeing all the different characters.
Yes.
And when I started seeing all of that, that's when I realized, oh, their guides.
They belong to, yeah,
they
that's
belong to them.
interesting.
And then when that person left, guides would leave.
Yeah.
Or when my guides would sense that I was getting tired, they would just all exit. Like they'd be gone.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of what mine do. They just start pulling back.
They fade off.
Yep. We're like, okay, we're done. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else for you. I will tell the person, oh, they're pulling back now.
Yeah.
And I'll say, do you have one more question or something like that? But yeah, that's what they do. They pull back from the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really an interesting phenomenon. Seriously, 30 years ago, I was a different person.
Same.
I had no idea this world even existed. I
Yes.
don't think I believed in psychics.
Yeah.
Wasn't part of anything that I considered or thought about
Uh-huh.
or anything. And so it's really been life in so many ways. I think one of the things that kind of befuddles me the most about all of this is having a reading with someone is such an experience.
It really is, huh?
And they have that experience. They think it's with you, but it's not.
No.
It's with their guides.
Yes. I always disclose that.
Sometimes they get that mixed up.
Uh-huh.
Where they think you're that person that they've had that experience with.
Yeah.
And while you were in the room, it wasn't really about you.
Exactly. And I always tell people when I give readings in the beginning, please keep in mind, this is not coming from Lori.
Yes.
It's coming from my guides through your guides. Yep. So I always remind people of that because you just never know what you're going to get. And it is, we talked about that earlier, being able to separate that. I love to read people that I don't know.
Same.
Because
the first readings for me are always the best because the guides just load information.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like this.
Yes.
And then if they come back again for a second reading, I notice, or they tell me, it wasn't quite like the first one. It's not going to be quite like the first one. They're not going to repeat stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start from where they left off and then tell you what's happening now.
Right.
So they're not going to go back a lot of times.
We're not going to rehash.
But they don't rehash what they already said.
Right.
I've started to notice that trend. And that's also something that I don't know. You've really got everything you need right now.
Right. Yeah.
Not a very good salesperson.
Well, and two, sometimes a session is about one certain thing that a person might be going through in their life. Yep. Instead of, we're going to talk about your job or your financial situation or this or that. Sometimes it's only about one certain situation and the messages behind the certain situation.
Very true.
Yeah, that's what I experience. So awesome. I love it. Do you do readings a lot?
Every day.
Oh, Barb's big time.
Well, I don't know how to say that, but I did retire from my job.
Oh, how lovely.
So I am doing it full time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so fun. Good for you.
Yeah, it's the nice thing is that the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it.
Yes.
And where I was just doing it here and there, still had the nerves. I still have the. I
Yeah.
mean, even now, when someone sits down, I just.
Right?
You always hope that they get something out of it.
Yes.
Because you're not in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always like say that little prayer that coming through, thank you,
Yes.
and because I'm aware that if they don't, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so great.
Powerful.
So you've been doing it for how long then? Doing readings, I should say. Once you realized and you accepted your gift.
It's probably been like 20 something years
Okay.
since I met Taco and started doing her little training thing, and I think it's been a little over 20. And I just started with friends.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
then-
did. They're our guinea pigs.
Yes, they are. Thank God. They're so great for that.
Yep.
And then it would be like we would just pick impulse for people, and I would say it.
Uh-huh.
But I think the actual readings started. Friends would start to refer their friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that's still what it is. 20 years later, every new client's a new friend.
Of
and
course.
they refer their friends.
Yep. Yeah. Word of
And
mouth.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so that's kind of been the beautiful way that it's evolved.
Yeah.
And I'm so much more comfortable with that advertising
Uh-huh.
to solicit it. I
Right.
just don't think
To do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of weird about it. I feel like I need to be approached.
And asked.
Someone has to need and understand what it is.
This has happened to me before. Have you been out in public, say, well, let me back up. Maybe in a situation where you're out in public with a friend or friends or group of people. Have you gotten messages?
Yes, and I very seldom share them.
Don't
I
you?
have to say I'm not very good at that. I like to know that it's coming from the right place and that I've got the protection around me.
Uh-huh.
I'm just, I don't often, I used to be a little more. And I
Interesting.
feel bad because you always get a message that's meant to be shared.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I seem to have a hesitation with it if it's in my set.
Okay. Because you
So,
want to
and-
feel safe.
And a lot of times I just shut down.
Yeah.
Shut down. I'm done. And because I don't do mediumship so much, where I don't see a lot of people who have passed or get a lot of information,
Uh-huh.
I think that's more a mediumship thing that
Mhm.
you're in public.
Right.
And I feel like I kind of have that boundary up.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with everyone?
I would just say I'm so grateful for the people who do seek me out,
Mm-hmm.
because the opportunity they give me to be able to sit in that loving, beautiful, completely accepting space.
Yes.
It's like that's something they treasure time. And I just granted. But when they come in with that beautiful,
I agree with you.
it's amazing.
It is amazing.
I'm so grateful that this is my.
And when we get feedback, people tell
Yeah.
us that, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, after the reading's done, and it's been a minute or a week or
Sometimes it's
something.
2 years later.
Right? You remember when you told me? when people come and tell you and give you feedback that, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You've helped me so much. You know, that is, it's such a wonderful feeling. Yeah.
It's not just the validation. It's, oh, yay.
Yes. No,
Yay,
genuinely happy for people that they have grown and
that they were able to use some of the information that came from their guides.
Yes.
My favorite thing, I think, when I see people leave from a reading is that their heads are blown.
Yeah.
You know, you can see their crown chakras are open. And that's exciting to me because then I'm like, ooh, they're going to start getting their own stuff.
Right.
You know, that's the whole point of it. You know,
exactly.
Is that you get to meet your guides, you get to have a conversation with them, and then you take them.
Yes.
You know, and to see that little kind of arc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And to know that we do have help from the other side.
Exactly.
We just have to ask for it.
Exactly. I just think it's the most beautiful. So grateful for it.
Same.
So grateful.
Very, very grateful. Very, very grateful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Barb. It was great to see you. I met Barb at one of Taco's, when she was in training.
Yep.
And probably about, I'm going to say 20
20
years.
Yeah.
Probably over 20 years ago. Yeah. So I'm so happy you joined us today, and I would love for you to come back sometime.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invite tonight. And I'm sorry again I was so late.
It's okay. This traffic around here is awful.
I got lost. I was supposed to turn where there was a barrier, and I just was like, I don't know what to do.
That's okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we'll be doing more lives once a week, either Wednesday. Well, we were planning Wednesday, 7 p.m., but today we had to do Thursday, which is great. But we'll be announcing that. And thank you so much. And reach out to us on the website at howdoyouspirit.com if you have questions or if you would like to have a reading from Barb, Taco, or myself. We'd love to do that for you. And we will see you soon.
Thank you.